Subject that had everybody talking and buzzing and angry over the weekend, and we've talked about it here this morning, and we want to bring some more folks into the conversation. This was the scene at Wake Forest on Saturday night. By now, no doubt you've seen it. After they knocked off Duke, they were actually favored in the game, but that did not stop all these students and other fans from racing out onto the court. And you see Kyle Filipowski, who was the best player on the Blue Devils, who are a top 10 team in the country. He winds up getting injured in that fracas, and he is being helped off the court. You saw it there by now. Dominique Foxworth, not part of the conversation earlier when we had it, and Uncle Seth Greenberg, no relation, joins us as well. And Seth, you, of course, were there for this, and I heard all of your commentary on Saturday night. But for those who have not, what was your perspective on what happened, and maybe more importantly, what did not happen at Wake Forest?
I'm really disappointed in the administration at Wake Forest. They had no plan in place. Or if they had a plan in place, their inability to execute that plan. Wake Forest was favored in this basketball game. If you know you're playing Duke and you have a chance to win a game you need, and by the way, it was an incredibly well-played game. Wake Forest is a legit team, and it was the win they needed to get to the NCAA tournament. You have to have a plan in place. What does a plan in place include? It includes having security to make sure that the players and the officials can get off the court safely. That means you hire extra security. Steve Forbes, the coach at Wake Forest, he calls a timeout with about 2 seconds left. I thought that was brilliant. I thought, hey, Steve's calling a timeout to get security in place. There's no security. Find a yellow jacket. Find one of those fluorescent jackets in any of these pictures. The students at Wake Forest, they sit on the baselines. They came from the baselines. All you had to do in this instance is make sure you have security that does not allow them on the court. The most important thing is the welfare of the people in the competition and the officials, and Wake Forest administration dropped the ball, and they should be held accountable.
I wanted Dominique in the conversation as well, because this happens in football. Yeah. We've all seen the same pictures, and Austin, obviously, this has happened in your experience. You've been on the court when it happened. But one more from you, Seth, because you know that what will happen, what does happen when something like this comes up, is people will say, well, just stop it. This is an inherently dangerous activity. They shouldn't allow people to go racing out onto the court or out onto a football field after the game is done. It doesn't take place in the National Football League or in the NBA. Why should it continue to be allowed in college basketball, Seth?
Well, I've got two solutions. I think are really simple solutions. First and foremost, the game ends. You put a minute on the clock, all right? You tick it down. At the end of the minute, obviously, maybe play, it was Virginia Tech, you play Enter the Sandman. The students are jumping up and down. They're enjoying the moment. Then when that minute's off, what does that do? That gives that visiting team a minute to get off the court, the officials to get off the court safely. Then the students can come and celebrate with the players. The other option is you've got 3,000 people coming to the court. Here's a simpler solution. Game ends, all right? The visiting team gets off the court. The players, and you have this plan in place, and the coaching staff, they go to the student body. They do it at Kansas State. They do it at Texas Tech. They literally, game's over, they go into the student section. They celebrate with the students. The bigger problem is, or another problem with the screening, I'd love your kind of feedback on it. The world we live in is so much different right now. People don't have a lot of respect for each other. Everyone has a cell phone. Instead of basically living the moment, they want to document the moment. So a lot of those kids running on the court, they don't know where they're going. They don't know what's going on because they got their camera phone out. They're taking selfies. They have it on video, and they have very little regard for anyone in front of them. So I think you bring the players into the stands, or you have a grace period, a 1-minute grace period. You play the alma mater. You play some type of music that the students can relate to. Then, boom, they come on the court.
I love the first solution. It is a better phrased way of exactly what I said an hour ago. You need some period of time where everyone who wants to get off the court can do so safely. And then if you want to let the students come running out there, then you let them do it. Seth, that to me is the perfect solution. Austin, I want to come to you because you've lived this. Can you describe, take me back to a moment where this happened in your career? You played at Duke. We all understand Duke is one of those big teams that when they lose a game on the road, the fans are inclined to do something like this. When you're actually standing out there and all these people are racing out at you, what does it feel like?
It's chaos. It's simply chaos. We unfortunately, I have gone through something like this. I wish I could say I haven't, but we played Temple my freshman year at Duke, and we got upset on the road out in Philadelphia. And before even the clock got zero, you already had these, people kind of, the kids running out from the stands. And I harped on it earlier. It's a very interesting dynamic just because it is such a big part of college sports, having, the fans rush the court, especially if you upset a big team like a Duke, a Kentucky, a Kansas, a Carolina, one of the Blue Bloods. That excitement is there, especially for a smaller market, smaller college team. And it's one of those things where in the moment you have both sides emotional. A lot of times we all know college is synonymous with drinking. These kids are in the stands, they're lit, they're drunk, they're running to the floor to celebrate. The other team that just lost is embarrassed, highly emotional. That dynamic is just very interesting and dangerous. I'm just so surprised that a lot of things haven't happened even worse in the past. But just within this season, we have two college stars on both sides, Caitlin Clark and Duke's very own, get very hurt. And have instances where something could have happened. Imagine because a fan rushed into her. Or Duke's season's being altered because he sprains an ankle or hurts his knee. These are things that have to be addressed. I like Seth's, solutions. I don't like addressing a problem unless I have a solution. At least Seth has some. There has to be something there, whether it's extra security, a minute time, something where we can allow the players to exit the game safely, but also keeping the spirit of college sports alive and having these people rush the stands. I was totally against it, after seeing these instances, but I do have to acknowledge, even in the moment, hearing your guys' points, that it is a part of college basketball, and there has to be some type of line in the middle where we can come to meet in the middle.
I think it's going to go anywhere. We talked about the marketing value. I can remember at Georgetown, there was a wall in the stairwell heading up to the athletic offices that was a picture of a court storm. I can't remember what the victory was, but I think you have to tweak it. Do your best to make it as organized as possible. Yes, it is chaos, but a good press is also organized chaos.
Well, that's right. Now look, and Seth said it right. I mean, are you good with that? You wait, you have like a countdown clock. Everyone in the building can see it. They have clocks all over the place. You got the shot clock. It's easy to do, and you get everybody off. Dominique, football, as we all know, is a highly emotional game. And, I remember the incident where LeGarrette Blount once, punched a fan and all the rest of that, and the world came down hard on him. And my reaction was, I don't know. I don't really blame LeGarrette Blount. You got some fan 1 second after you just lost running up and yelling who knows what directly into your face in a place they don't belong and you do. It seems to me to some degree all bets are at least a little bit off. What do you think of all this, Neek?
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm going to fall on the side of the players in that conversation, but I do have to acknowledge that, having been on the field when the field has been rushed before, it's really damn fun, to be a player in that situation on the winning side. And it does feel like it's a part of college football. But that's why I appreciate the solutions that we're coming up with now, is it doesn't take it out of the game altogether, but it does make it a little bit safer. And I think we have to acknowledge that college sports is becoming more and more professionalized every year. So with that, you're going to have to let go of some of the things that were more amateur. And rushing the court or rushing the field does feel amateur. So as long as you're going to keep pushing this to professional levels, you need to protect the employees in this situation, which are the players.
Yeah, and whether you want to call them let's even take that word out of it. There'd be all the more reason to be protecting them, or at least as much, if they're just students, right? These are just college students like everybody else. Get them the heck off the court or the field before a dangerous situation. Seth, I have video of you, I believe this is from 2011, when you were at Virginia Tech, and how your team handled this.
Yeah. 2 days prior to this game, we had a meeting with the athletic administration, and they came up with a plan to make sure that the visiting team got off the court safely. It was a Duke game. It was a college game day game. Now, Coach K got half of his team out of the way prior to the ending of the game. But what we did was we basically built a wall for those players to get off the court. All right, so that as soon as the game ended, you see all those security, you can see security on the left-hand side. They were able to basically protect the visiting team and the officials, enable them to get off the court. The students came from one baseline, but they went right to the middle of the court. They didn't kind of go any other way. And that was before everyone had to document this situation. All right, so not everyone's holding cell phones. You see us celebrating, but it's slowly developing because it takes a while to jump over that wall behind you, by the way. But they did a really good job. Sitting in that meeting, I said, you know what, if we're fortunate enough to win, I really feel good about it because we took the time to have a plan in place. But once it started, Dominique, things were lit.
Seth, why are you so mad at cell phones? What is it? Cell phones didn't do nothing to you, Seth. Stop blaming the cell phone.
Hey, here's the deal.
say
These bad boys, when people are walking around taking pictures, they have no damn idea where the hell they're going. They're going to run into something or someone.
Walk down a busy street in Manhattan sometime, Dominique, and then tell me how it doesn't bother you when everyone is walking down the street like this and you have to actually honk, make a honking sound at a pedestrian who's walking. I'm like, honk. I mean, get out. Excuse me. You want to look up, please? You're walking directly at me, so put your phone away, for crying out loud. No. I think Seth's idea.
Get off my lawn, everybody. Everyone, off the lawn.
Yes, that's exactly right. Put that on the topic bar. Greeny says we need to get rid of cell phones.
Oh, God.
That's where we land with all of this.